Are there any more questions left? Okay, let's go. Well, did you watch the game? Did you watch part two of this series about Ryan Tannehill? Do you still have concerns about my criticism about Ryan Tannehill and why the marriage between him and the Miami Dolphins were over? Before we move on to the point of this series, we're going to close that chapter about Ryan Tannehill in Miami. The Tennessee Titans were blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs. And I remember making that comment in part two when I said that the Tennessee Titans could open that game getting everything they want. They could have 8-minute clock-killing drives that resulted in a touchdown, and Patrick Mahomes could erase it in less than a minute. Were you paying attention yesterday? Do you see the difference between a Ryan Tannehill and a Kirk Cousins and a Patrick Mahomes? This is the difference between a franchise quarterback and a play-action passer. We're going to examine only the critical elements of what happened in that game yesterday. And the Tennessee Titans jumped out into a lead. And after Kansas City scored twice and made the game 17-14 with 4 minutes left, Chris Jones took over that game. And on that very first down, he stuffed Derrick Henry. On that second down, he stuffed Derrick Henry. And that forced the Tennessee Titans into 3rd and long. Now, what did Mike Vrabel and that offensive staff choose to do? They went extremely conservative and called a screen pass. Do you think for one moment that Andy Reid having Patrick Mahomes would not have gone for that first down? After that punt, the Chiefs went down, they scored a touchdown, and they opened the second half with another touchdown. And now you're down 28-17, and you need a franchise quarterback. What did Ryan Tannehill do? I told you in part two of this series what my criteria were to reevaluate Ryan Tannehill. And I specifically stated when Derrick Henry gets throttled and Ryan Tannehill moves that offense with his legs and with his arm and continues to score points, that's when you know that he has turned the corner and become a franchise quarterback. Because that's what franchise quarterbacks are. There's only going to be a few of them in the NFL every single year, and they make it obvious. There are no questions about them. How many debates have you heard about what Russell Wilson can and can't do on the football field? How many debates have you heard about what Patrick Mahomes can and can't do on a football field? Derrick Henry was held in check by that Kansas City defense yesterday. He had 19 carries for 69 yards. That's 3.6 yards a carry. And Ryan Tannehill apologists will say right now, look, man, Ryan Tannehill went 21-31. He completed 67% of his passes for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and he had a 108 quarterback rating. Did you forget the Kansas City Chiefs dropped at least 2 interceptions? And what is 209 yards on 31 passes? What did I specifically state about if you ask Ryan Tannehill to throw 30 passes a game, what his limitations were? Did you know that for Ryan Tannehill's career in Miami, a Ryan Tannehill-led offense averaged 22 points per game? Do you remember that Ryan Tannehill missed 24 games in his final 3 seasons in Miami? Brian Flores and his staff were justified in their decision to move on from Ryan Tannehill. And I think we can close that book. But if you feel like venting, that's what the comment section below is for. But what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the fallout from this season. Enter Chris Grier and Brian Flores. You know, Steve Ross made a cryptic statement early in January that started all of this tanking narrative in Miami when he said that sometimes you have to endure a little pain for a short term to get a long-term gain. And it looks like that's exactly what the Miami Dolphins have done. So what are the results of what the Miami Dolphins did this offseason? What they've done is they've created a lot of assets to move this team forward. And let's look at what they've accumulated through trades, cutting players, and re-signing players to extensions. We're not going to get into the exact numbers of it, but the Dolphins should have well over $100 million in salary cap space. The salary cap is only projected to be $188 or $190 million next season. So they can pretty much go into free agency and do what they well please. What did they do in accumulation of draft picks? Well, in any given season in the NFL, teams have 1 first-round pick, 1 second-round pick, and 1 third-round pick. So that's it. 3 picks in the first 96 players selected in the NFL draft. What have the Miami Dolphins accumulated? The Miami Dolphins have 5 picks out of the first 64 and 6 out of the first 96. Essentially, the Miami Dolphins have 3 years worth of draft picks in this draft alone. What does that mean? That means General Manager Chris Grier and Brian Flores can do whatever they well please with this draft. And this draft is deep. And I mean, I haven't seen a draft this deep in probably 10 or 15 years. This roster will look dramatically different than the one that took the field this previous season. And that is not even taking into account potential cap casualties such as Rashad Jones, who I would like to see the Dolphins find a way to keep, but his cap number is just so high, because it would be nice for once to see someone finish their career in a Dolphins jersey, unlike some other Dolphins stars that have left the team in the past. So this was just a quick video on what the Dolphins have accumulated in the form of assets to be able to move forward in the future. And what we're going to do next, since this is the conclusion of this series, The Curious Case of Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins, is we're going to start examining this organization piece by piece, beginning with the single most important aspect of football, and that's coaching. And some interesting changes to Brian Flores' coaching staff this offseason. So stay tuned.
City overpowers the country, asphalt rolling over animals and trees, and y'all still sleep. Red dirt used for clay brick. The country overpowers the city on some rain shit. Broke it all down in the slot where the hogs be. Chickens in the backyard, dog on the ground sleep. Pond in the front yard, that's where the fish at. The city sold the country for their shit in the contract. Now they got beef, but the stock is the same world. Flexing on each other when they in the same girl. City made commerce to feed the illusion. Country didn't double up green with dead men. Fuel to the fire, they both got burnt quick. Screaming, God help me, and the devil made me do it. City and the country sold out for real cheap. Worry about each other when the beast gotta eat. The beast gotta eat, the beast gotta eat, the beast gotta eat, the beast gotta eat, the beast gotta eat.